This is a 69 News special report.
We're interrupting your regularly scheduled program for the very latest on the Allentown House explosion that we've been reporting on through the night and into this morning. Mayor Ed Pulaski has just stepped up to the podium to speak and address us, and we're going to go to him right now live.
Well, good morning, everyone. I am Ed Pulaski. I'm the mayor of the city of Allentown. I'm going to have a brief opening statement followed by our fire chief, Bob Shire, who's going to give you the latest details on what we know to date of the incidents that occurred last night. There's a number of folks here. We will answer as many questions as we can with the folks that are here in the room. Let me introduce the folks that are here. To my right is Fire Chief Bob Shire. To my left is Lehigh County Scott Grimm. We also have John Walsh, who is the president of UGI Utilities, Robert Beard, who is the vice president of UGI Utilities, Daniel Adamo, who is the marketing manager for UGI. We have Dave Van Allen, who is our Allentown EMS director, Vicki Kistler, who is the director of our city's health bureau, who also handled a lot of the evacuees last night. Dave Paulus, who's our director of building standards and safety. John Hughes is here, right behind me, who is executive director of the Red Cross. Dan Farrell is next to him, who is the executive director of the Allentown Housing Authority. We have Tom Nervine, Lehigh County Emergency Management Services. We also have a number of folks from City Council. Mike Schlossberg, Mike Donovan, Pete Schweier, and Ray O'Connell are here as well. And we have Jesse Salazar, who's also here from Senator Bob Casey's office. Last night, an explosion occurred on the 500 block of North 13th Street on the west side. This has been a very difficult, rough 12-hour period for the victims of this tragedy and their families. Their lives have been turned upside down. Our thoughts, our prayers go out to the families affected by this horrible tragedy, especially the families of those who lost loved ones in this particular disaster. I spoke to several of the families. I assured them that we as a city will use all our resources that we have available to us to get answers for these families and help them in any way that we can. I want to thank our city employees first and foremost who have responded in a highly professional, responsive, and organized manner. I want to personally and publicly thank Chief Shire and the members of the Allentown Fire Department. They have done a tremendous job in some very, very difficult circumstances. This tragedy could have been much worse if it wasn't for their efforts, their diligence, and their discipline in this particular tragedy. I am very proud of all our employees and the brave men and women of our department. Chief Shire, as he will speak in a moment. Chief is also the head of our emergency management team. He has done a tremendous job. The city's team worked well. It was coordinated. It was put together for this very type of emergency. They responded well. They evacuated all the folks from this building as well as folks from the surrounding communities, and they did a tremendous job. And I want to thank all our staff. I also want to thank the community organizations, the business, the residents who responded to help those who were injured and displaced. There's a number of folks in community groups, churches, Life Church, KNBT Bank, Wegmans, and others, many, many others, who have stepped up and called us and offered help and support, food, shelter for the victims of this particular tragedy. Their efforts are appreciated, and they're really, I think, a good example of things that is seen, of one good thing that has actually come out of this particular tragedy, a reaffirmation that Allentonians have a great sense of community and a deep caring for their fellow residents. I've also been heartened but not surprised to hear of stories of residents helping residents. Allentown, folks, is a very resilient city, and we will work hard to get to the bottom of these particular events and move forward as municipality. With that, I'm going to ask Chief Shire to give you sort of an update of what has transpired over the last 12 hours, and then we will open up to questions from the press. Chief?
Okay, as you're aware, last night at around 22:50 hours, we responded to the 1300 block of, or the 500 block of North 13th Street for a possible explosion. When our crews arrived on the scene, we quickly realized that we had 2 homes that were leveled, and we had 2 homes that were burning. The fire department immediately went into rescue mode to evacuate the residents from that side of the street, and beginning to fight the fire. As the night progressed, it was a very difficult fire. It was a very difficult fire to fight because of the weather, because of the snow piles, the ice. As soon as we throw water, everything turned to ice. So it was a very difficult battle. The homes were damaged to the point where we could not put firefighters inside the buildings to save the structures. So we fought the fire in a defensive mode. And of course, when you fight a fire in a defensive mode where you're just throwing water through windows and doorways, it's really hard to extinguish the fire, and it takes a long time to do that. That was the reason the fire lasted as long as it did. Throughout the course of the night, UGI called in many members to assist us and get the street opened up and get the gas line shut off for us. Of course, we had gas lines, gas fires burning up out of the street and stuff that we could not extinguish until we had the gas lines shut off. UGI did an excellent job. They got their resources here very quickly, and I think just did a fabulous job with getting the gas shut off for us. As a result of the explosion and the initial investigations, we quickly realized that we were looking for 6 individuals. That number 6 that was given to you this morning later turned to 5, as we were able to find out one of the residents were not home at the time. So we are currently searching for 5 victims. I can tell you we have found 3 to this point. We are still sifting through the debris, hoping to find the remaining 2 victims. At this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Chief, what role do you think natural gas played in this? It certainly propagated the fire, it would appear, but do you think it was the spark or it initiated the explosion?
The explosion is being investigated at this point. I really can't give you a cause and say that it was natural gas that caused the explosion at this time. Of course, we'll be able to get that information to you later, hopefully, as the investigation goes on.
Were there any precursors? Did anybody call smelling natural gas? Did anybody have any work done on natural gas appliances in that?
We're investigating whether any of the residents had work being done. We're not sure on that issue yet, and I'm not aware of any precursors or any odors.
You're saying there are 3 people dead? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 3 fatalities at this point.
You found 3 people. You found their remains in the rubble?
Yes.
You're looking for now 2 more?
We're searching for 2 more, yes.
Can you tell us the address where the bodies were found?
I'll let the coroner speak more to that.
Scott, do you want to say a few words?
First of all, I want to extend, like the mayor said, our condolences to the families and friends. Of the 5 individuals that were missing, unfortunately, 3 of them have been located in the debris and are deceased. We are still in a recovery mode for the other 2 individuals. We're speaking with families to help with their closures, as well as make identification of these individuals. Due to the circumstances and the conditions of the individuals, autopsies are going to be performed later today and tomorrow to determine the cause of death, to determine exactly what occurred. I'm not going to release any names at this point, but the ages are a 4-month-old child to 79. As soon as I have positive identification of the individuals, I will release their names and their addresses.
What was the age of the third individual? You said 79, and then what was the other age?
They ranged from 79 to 4 months old.
There has been reports of a sixth individual. There is a Mr. Juan Maldonado, a 95-year-old man who lives at 519 North 13th Street. That is on the other side of the block. We have not been able to make contact with them, so the media could help us by getting the information out. If one of Mr. Maldonado's relatives have picked him up, please let us know. Please call our comm center at 610-437-7751. We do not believe he was on the affected side of the blast. He lived on the other side of the block, but at this point he is one other individual who has not been accounted for, but we believe he's probably not in the affected area. His name is Juan Maldonado. He's a 519 North 13th Street, which is on the east side of the block, the unaffected block, 94 years old. Again, any information on Mr. Maldonado, if family, friends had picked him up, please let us know. Call our comm center, 610-437-7751.
Can you spell that last name?
Maldanaldo.
Question for the chief or maybe UGI. There have been reports that because of the icing conditions, they were having a difficult time shutting down the gas lines. Either the valves were frozen or access to the valves were frozen. Could somebody comment on that?
With UGI, I can tell you from my vantage point what I witnessed last night. Yes, it was very difficult to get into the street and get those holes dug. Of course, we were throwing a lot of water around right away, which made the streets real icy, so even just getting our equipment in was a challenge. And then, of course, till you move the snow and the ice and actually get into the street. So, yeah, I'm sure they had difficulty.
And that's why it took as many hours as it did to shut down the gas. Is that one of the reasons? Somebody can explain that.
Yeah.
Yes. And we'll let UGI speak on that.
Sure. Yes. John Walsh, CEO of UGI Utilities. First, I'd like to extend on behalf of UGI condolences to all the families that were impacted by within a few minutes of the report of the incident, worked through the night, went through a controlled set of processes around looking at the systems, shutting down the systems in a controlled manner. As the chief indicated, the conditions are difficult with snow and ice and the ice from the water from fighting the fire. It took several hours to entirely shut down the system, but we quickly controlled the area in and around the fire and continue to monitor it and shut down parts of the system during the course of the...
In other words, you were having trouble getting through existing ice to get to your valve.
Well, we had to cut through the street as well.
And you cut through the street.
When was that? When was the gas finally shut off?
I might turn this over to Dan Adama, who was on site last night, and let him just give you the details of the timing.
Yes, this is Dan. The gas was shut off in the affected main by where the explosion occurred around 3:45 in the morning. We received the initial call from 911 around 11 o'clock last night. We responded within 18 minutes with our first responder on scene and crews to follow thereafter.
Can you tell us, Mayor or Chief, how many of the evacuees have been allowed back into their homes?
Yeah, the current status, the 600 block of North 13th Street, we had reestablished power and had the city contractor secure the windows and stuff that have been broken. So the 600 block of North 13th Street is going to be open to the residents. The 500 block, the block of the explosion itself, both the east and the west side of that street is going to remain closed, probably to speak with the Red Cross if they need sheltering. Of course, you're all aware Gross Towers has where we're at there. The 8 homes, the side of the block that had the explosion, the west side of the block, of course, the 2 homes were leveled. The remaining 6 homes are probably not going to be salvageable and will probably be razed.
We had 2 homes that were leveled.
Yes.
And what is the count on the other homes?
6.
Damaged?
6 other homes on the west side, yes.
Were destroyed. How many others were damaged?
2 were leveled, 6 were damaged by fire.
Now, earlier today there was talk. I think you said 16 homes. Other than that, impacted. What?
We're actually up to 47 properties that were impacted by either the blast, forced entry to check for gas, or ice damage and stuff like that as a result of water being thrown around. So we're up to about 47 properties. Out of those 47, 10 of them are businesses surrounding the blast area.
As far as the affected residents go, I know you just mentioned that some have been allowed to return home. Number-wise, we heard anywhere from 500 to 600 to 700. Can you kind of go over where that stands? How many were displaced, evacuated, and how many are now left back?
Yeah, let me just look at some numbers here. Oh, do we have them? Dave, do you have the numbers? Yeah. Okay, I'll let Dave give you the numbers. I have them here. It's just till I get to it.
Dave is our director of EMS.
At the two Gross Tower buildings, Allentown paramedics, along with approximately 15 of our mutual aid partners in the Eastern PA EMS Council's mass casualty units, the assistance of the Health Bureau, evacuated 165 patients or patrons here of Gross Towers. We took them over to Agricultural Hall, where it was set up as a shelter. Approximately 4 hours later, we repopulated Gross Towers with that same number of people. We believe that approximately 100 more individuals from the surrounding areas had left on their own in vehicles. And we think that approximately 100 others from Gross Towers were either picked up by family members or friends or left in their own vehicles.
When you say 100, do you mean from the block?
Yeah, we're estimating a total of somewhere in the vicinity of 350 people had moved around during the time of the incident.
How many of those are still displaced for the next 2 days?
That's going to be close to 70.
Fire chief says 70. All 165 residents that were removed from Gross Towers were repopulated that evening.
Scott, the two people you have not been able to find, there's no reason to believe they weren't home. You assume you're going to be finding them.
We're still going through the debris at the site. Okay, we're still searching for them.
No reason to believe they were not home, though.
At this point, we're still searching.
Question for the mayor. When something like this happens in your community, just how devastating, how devastating is it for you, just for residents and citizens here?
Well, I think it's our heart goes out to all the residents, as I said, that were affected by this disaster. It is definitely has an impact on the community and on the city as a whole. But like I said, there's always a silver lining, and the silver lining is we've seen people come together, we've seen residents and neighbors pull together and help each other. And Allentown is a very resilient city, as I have said, and we're going to work hard to get to the bottom of these events. We're going to move forward as a community. The affected neighborhoods will be rebuilt, and the residents will be given every resource that the city has and can use to help deal with their needs following this particular tragedy. So it's devastating for any municipality and for any city, but we have a very resilient city with a lot of caring individuals and residents and great and tremendous, I would say, community support effort here by all the city staff, as well as the Red Cross, the county, and all those involved. I have to thank Vicki. Vicki actually headed up the efforts at Ag Hall, working with those who were displaced. She did a tremendous job, and Vicki, I want to thank you publicly. And Dave, for EMS, you guys did a tremendous job as well. Thank you so much.
Do you have any estimate on how many people are involved in this operation, including the police, fire, UGI, and everyone who's pitching in?
That is it's a big number.
Anyway, right?
It's a big number.
Several hundred.
Mr. Mayor, there was another incident similar, an explosion of some sort years ago.
Yes, there was.
Is there any just
actually, it was in the side. It was well, there was one at the Gross Towers here.
Yeah.
There was also another one on the south side of town. Actually, there was two on the south side of town. And so, yeah, there's been a number of gas explosions, and it's obviously something we're concerned about, and obviously in contact and discussion with UGI regarding these particular incidents and what we could do to prevent these in the future.
The one here at Gross Towers, though, is there any kind of connection? Is it the same line? Is there any sort of similarity?
Dan, do you want to? I don't believe it's the case, but
no,
Chief Dan, I don't know. You want to?
I don't know how their lines run. They would have to answer that.
There is not. That was construction.
Oh, that's right. That was construction. That was construction that actually tripped off the line and started that particular blast.
Do you have a count of how many people were injured or treated for smoke inhalation?
Do you have that? Dave?
We had one individual that was evacuated to Ag Hall who had some anxiety symptoms that was transported by Allentown EMS to one of the hospitals, but that individual returned to us immediately. And then I think we had a small handful, maybe 4 individuals with minor injuries.
We had a total of 8.
Oh, 8.
4 in the when we did the original evacuation, and then another 4 on the way back. All minor injuries.
They've all been treated and released.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to take one more question. We will have another update at 4 o'clock.
One question for Mr. Walsh.
Sure.
Were there crews on this block today or yesterday or anytime this week from UGI? Have they been working?
No, we haven't been doing any work on this block recently. In fact, we conducted a leak survey here not too long ago, so we had a crew. Regularly during the winter, we do leak surveys and had a crew and didn't detect anything at that time as well. That was, I believe, within the last week.
Oh,
just driving through doing a leak survey. Yes, we do leak surveys all during the course of the winter, but no recent work on site or on this block.
And is that about all that can be done in terms of prevention, or can it be prevented?
Well, there's a whole range of things we do in terms of ensuring safe delivery of natural gas to all of our customers. At this point, obviously, there's a lot of our focus is on the current incident, working with the mayor and the fire department and all the agencies to investigate and understand the root cause of the incident. So that's our priority at this time.
Folks, we're going to wrap this up. At 4 o'clock, we'll have another update. We'll hopefully have more information for you at that particular point. I do want to thank one more individual, and that's Jesse Salazar and Senator Casey's office. They work with us to bring FEMA into this early on, and FEMA has helped us. Again, our heart goes out to the families who were affected by this tragedy. This is a very difficult time, but we are a resilient city, and we are going to do everything we can to help rebuild this neighborhood, work with the residents to provide them resources to help deal with this particular tragedy. Again, we'll have an update at 4 o'clock in this room again, and provide you hopefully with a wrap-up of what we were able to find throughout the day. More.
The individuals spoke during this presser to say and spell their first and last names and their title one
Sure.
more time.
Sure. We'll start with Mayor Pawlowski, P-A-W-L-O-W-S-K-I. Scott?
Scott Grimm, coroner. Last name is Grimm, G-R-I-M.
Bob Shire, Fire Chief, S-C-H-E-I-R-E-R.
David Van.
All right, you've been listening to live coverage of a news conference by City of Allentown Mayor Ed Pawlowski and city officials there behind him, updating us on the status of the fire and explosion that rocked the city last night at about 10:45. We learned that of the 5 missing victims, 3 of them have been found dead. There are 2 that they are still searching for through the debris right now to find. And the ages of the victims range from 4 months to 79 years old. The firefighters tell us that the 6th victim that was originally thought to be out there was accounted for, so there are only 5 that they are aware of now. They told us that they can't give us the cause of the fire just yet, or the explosion. They can't say it was natural gas at this time, but they do hope to get this information out later. The coroner also says that they are looking for a Juan Maldonado, a 95-year-old man who lived on the other side of the block. He has not been accounted for, but they don't have any reason to believe that he was on the scene during the explosion. You can contact the city at 437-7751, 610-437-7751 if you think you know where Juan Maldonado is. Also, the 500 block of 13th Street will remain closed. That's where the explosion and fire actually happened, and they plan to reopen the 600 block soon. The homes that were damaged to the point where they couldn't put firemen in the home to attack it. So they fought the fire from the outside, which is difficult because it takes longer. The total of 47 properties were affected by this. 10 of those are businesses, and the snow and ice also complicated their ability to fight the fire. 2 homes were leveled, and 2 homes were burning when firefighters first arrived. 6 homes in total were damaged by the fire. Again, to recap, this explosion and fire happened last night at 13th and Allen Streets around 10:45. 6 homes were damaged, 2 homes were leveled. There have been 5 people reported missing. 3 of those victims have been found dead. The ages of the 5 victims range from 4 months to 79 years old. They're searching through the debris right now at the scene, looking for the signs of the 2 remaining bodies that have not been accounted for. They do believe that those 2 missing victims are dead. We are following this story, and we also want to tell you that a lot of you have been asking for a number to call or how you can help. Well, we're going to have that number for you in the noon news coming up right after this short break. So stay with us and join us on the other side for 69 News at noon.
Do you have TV?
Disaster in Allentown.
You don't expect something like this to happen, you know, so close to home.
First, a monstrous explosion.
Loudest boom I ever heard.
And all of a sudden, we just felt my house shake.
And then an inferno.
I looked down the street, and it just looked like fireworks had gone off.
While hundreds of residents scrambled to get out of harm's way.
The police came right away and made us get out of the house.
Allentown's bravest put out the call. All hands on deck.
We have everybody from the city of Allentown here.
Today, the landscape of a center city neighborhood has changed forever.
We're going to lose 8 homes as a result of the explosion and fire.
And there's word that not everyone made it out alive. The very latest next on 69 News at noon.
Your life, your world, your news. This is 69 News, live at noon.
Good afternoon. I'm Jaciel Cordoba.
And I'm Nancy Werteen. We've been keeping you up to date on the air and online about that massive explosion and fire in Allentown since it happened late last night at 13 and West Allen Streets.
And now heartbreaking new details are coming out about the blast. Officials say they've confirmed 3 deaths, and one of the victims was just 4 months old.
We begin our team coverage this noon with WFMZ's Joscelyn Moes. She's live at Gross Towers on West Allen Street with more. What have you got, Joscelyn?
Nancy and Jaciel, a news conference wrapped up just a short time ago. Of the 5 people that were declared missing, 3 have been confirmed dead. They range in ages from 4 months to 79 years old. Officials tell us that 2 people are still missing. As for the homes involved, officials tell us 2 homes were leveled by the explosion, 6 were destroyed by the fire. 47 other properties were impacted by the blast, including 10 businesses. Now, as for those victims, autopsies are being conducted today and tomorrow. The coroner is not releasing the names of those deceased at this time. He's still notifying family. The explosion happened at 10:45 p.m. last night at 544 North 13th Street in Allentown. It rocked the city and many surrounding suburbs. Property records show the home is owned by Beatrice and William Hall. The explosion sparked a massive fire. It forced hundreds of people to flee their homes. Now, UGI crews worked for several hours to stop the gas leak. Now, firefighters were able to get the fire under control, and some people were allowed back in their homes, although we're told at this hour there are still some people who are being evacuated. Now, some people were allowed back in their homes around 4 o'clock this morning. Now, UGI tells us that no work was being done on that block where the explosion occurred. They do say there was a leak survey crew out there this week, but they did not detect any gas leaks in that area. Now, this was a difficult fire for firefighters to fight. They say it took them several hours. It was difficult because of the weather and the cold temperatures, and any water that they were spraying on the building quickly turned to ice. Now, if we can take a listen at some of the sound from earlier this morning at the news conference.
I could tell you we have found 3 to this point. We are still sifting through the debris, hoping to find the remaining 2 victims.
Allentown, folks, is a very resilient city, and we will work hard to get to the bottom of these particular events and move forward as a municipality.
Now again, 3 people were confirmed dead. The mayor tells us that he did talk to the families of those people deceased. He said, quote, "We will use all of the resources of the city to get answers for these families." Now at the news conference this morning, they did not say that it was a gas leak that sparked this. They are still investigating, and hopefully we'll have more information later today. There's going to be another news conference at 4 o'clock here this afternoon when hopefully they'll be able to release more information. Reporting live, Joscelyn Moes, 69 News.
All right, thanks very much, Jocelyn. Well, this massive explosion was heard and felt in many areas outside of Allentown, but for one man, it really hit home. WFMZ's Jaccii Farris joins us live now from the scene with more. Jaccii.
Well, some say the explosion sounded like a car accident or fireworks, but for Antonio Arroyo, he says it was the sound that cost him and his family their home.
It sounded like a bomb. This was one huge vibration that just shot through the whole neighborhood, and it was just, you know, stunning.
Antonio Arroyo and his wife Jill were getting ready for bed when the explosion happened. Arroyo says the windows popped open on his West Allen Street home and items were tossed around. He says he and his wife thought the explosion might have been the result of a car accident until they ran outside and saw what happened to the house down the row.
The whole house was missing. The whole house at the end of the block was missing. There was nothing there but just flames.
Arroyo says he knows the elderly couple that lived in that home.
You have to think of the worst because his car was back there, and they're older people, and you know, we just know them that they're normally home at that time.
Arroyo says he watched as the flames jumped from one home to another until they finally engulfed his house. He says his family lost everything.
We just got to do it all over again. I mean, we work hard.
Stuff can be replaced.
We do a lot of good things. Somehow it's got to spin back, and we should be able to jump back from this.
Arroyo says for now he and his wife are going to be staying with their daughter. He says the family did not have insurance on their home. In Allentown, Jaccii Farris, 69 News.
Hundreds were forced out of their homes by the blast last night. They were taken to Ag Hall at the Allentown Fairgrounds. WFMZ's Koltnow has that.
By the busload they came.
It was hard on a lot of people.
Using canes, walkers, wheelchairs, even arms for balance. About 700 people, 6 Lanta buses worth, mostly made up of senior citizens, including 95-year-old Thelma Paulus, braved frigid middle-of-the-night temps to pack into Allentown's Ag Hall.
How were people's spirits on the bus?
They seemed fine. They were helping the people that were blind or that had walkers or everything. I never saw people that were so prepared.
Ag Hall turned into Rescue Row as residents of Gross and East Towers, along with numerous neighbors, were evacuated due to the explosion that rocked the neighborhood near 14th and Allen.
The loudest boom I ever heard. It was 10 times a transformer blowing.
I was going to the bathroom and the toilet shook.
Animals were taken in too. For hours, the elderly waited. Inside, spirits remained high. 186 people, mostly from Gross Tower, stayed for hours as the Red Cross, Allentown's health department, along with some city council members and volunteers, fed and gave drinks to this impromptu middle-of-the-night gathering.
We're always prepared, and one of the things that we do have, obviously, is blankets and things like that. You see the people that are behind us right now are being sheltered with those blankets.
At least 24 homes are said to be affected, 8 homes completely destroyed, including the home of Jill and Antonio Arroyo.
But you see, what we have right here is what we have, and that's it. You know, everything else is gone.
At 4:20 a.m., nearly 5 hours after many entered, the remaining residents boarded the bus to head back home, a place the Arroyos are suddenly without.
We didn't have no renter's insurance, so, you know, everything that's lost is lost. We just got to start from scratch again.
For those now suddenly homeless, the Red Cross says it's working on temporary shelter. It's helped 3 families so far and expects more to come today. In Allentown, Koltnow, 69 News.
Last night's explosion forced 2 schools in the neighborhood to call off classes today.
Allentown School District officials closed Louis A. Ramos Elementary School and the I-Beam Academy. The school's staff, though, reported at 10 a.m. Last night's incident is bringing back memories of a similar situation for some Allentown residents. An excavation crew ruptured a gas pipe and caused a massive fire back in June of 1994. It happened at Gross Towers, which is within within a block of the home that exploded last night. One man was killed then, and about 80 people were injured in that accident.
The Red Cross is providing assistance for people affected by the disaster. Case workers can be contacted by dialing the number you see on your screen. Red Cross officials say people in need should not send an email because help is available faster by calling. Anyone who wants to help by providing food or hotel rooms should also call the number on your screen. Remember to stay with 69 News to learn about new developments in last night's explosion. We'll have more coming up later on our evening newscasts. And as always, we'll be updating our website throughout the day. That's WFMZ.com.